I have some breaking news for you this hour, though, that we're also tracking. There is a hostage situation that's currently unfolding in the town of Umbumbulu in eThekwini in KwaZulu-Natal. A specialized task team at the scene where it's negotiating the release of a family that's being held captive by a group of alleged robbers. eNCA senior reporter Dasen Thathiah is on the scene and he's joining us now live from there. Dasen, good afternoon to you. What's the latest? What's happening there?
Well, Pradan, let me start with the most important information first. That situation is still unfolding. There is a hostage negotiator on the scene at the moment that is trying to negotiate the release of those that are inside the home that is behind me. At this point, it's not clear exactly how many people and who is in there. There were reports of the voice of a child being heard and a woman possibly. But right now, the number of people is not clear. That's something that still needs to be established. The positive side of this is that communication has been established with the suspect that is inside there. But what I want to do now is just briefly tell you about how it got to this point and how we ended up here in Umbumbulu. This is a situation that actually started in Cato Ridge, which is about 50 kilometers away from where I'm standing now in rural eThekwini. It was a robbery that took place there with about 5 suspects, as we understand it. They fled in this direction and split up. Some of them are still on the loose. At least one so far has been arrested. I just want to see if I can get an update now by bringing in Brigadier Jay Naika. Brigadier, thanks so much for joining me. It was 5 suspects, as I've been informed, that were involved in the initial robbery. Please take me through right now what's happening inside, what do we know, and we'll talk a bit about the context after that.
Okay, from the initial scene where there was contact with the suspects and they opened fire on police and security officials, they managed to track one of the individuals to this house here, and as they approached this house, he opened fire on them. They were able to take cover and call for backup, and members of the K9 unit and Special Task Force was called to surround the house. We then enlisted the assistance of the police hostage negotiator. So our hostage negotiators are in contact with the man in the house. At this stage, we know of at least one person that's being held hostage, but we believe there's possibly more than one that's in that house. So our hostage negotiators are busy communicating with the guy to hand himself over.
Brigadier, what is the condition of the person who is in the house at this point? Do we know anything further on that?
Well, at this stage, there's nothing to indicate that any harm has come to them. It's in our interest to try and resolve the situation as quick as possible before somebody is harmed.
Let's go back a bit while we wait for the hostage negotiators to do their work. This started in Cato Ridge. That's quite far from here. What was the situation like as police tracked the suspects from there to here? How did it come to be that they ended up splitting up?
Well, when we were alerted to the robbery by Magma Security, we also responded, and they responded from their side, and just getting information from the direction in which these suspects went, and working with other security forces in the area, we were able to track the vehicle to Umbumbulu. A chase then ensued, which we believe caused the suspects to lose control of the vehicle, and they crashed the vehicle. They then got out of the vehicle, opening fire at the security officials as well as the police officers, and they split in different directions. One of them was immediately arrested on the scene, and one was followed to this area. We believe there's another 3 that's loose in the area, and we have our police officers with their canines that are busy hunting down those 3 in a separate location not far from here.
Any injuries in that initial robbery? Do we know what was taken?
They took a whole lot of cell phones. That scene has been cordoned off, and we are told the cell phones are still lying in the vehicle that was abandoned when the suspects fled the scene.
Are we making progress though? This has been going on for, if I'm looking at my time now, probably about 2 to 3 hours, this scene behind us. I see that the Special Task Force has also been called in. They are on scene. Are they moving in the right direction?
Yeah, we've got our hostage negotiators. They have arrived possibly about an hour ago, so I'm sure they're following the protocols that they have to follow in terms of hostage negotiations. In the meanwhile, we have the Special Task Force and other units that are on standby should they be needed.
Okay. I will chat to you again for a further update. Praden, I just want to talk to you about what's happening now around me. There is the air wing that is currently searching the area as well. That relates to what Brigadier J. Naika was telling me a short while ago about the fact that there are still 3 suspects that are on the loose. The scene is still quite tense. If you just look around me, there are police officers that are gathered all around this vicinity. Other neighbors have also come out. This house that we're at now is located quite far in from the main road, which is probably a good 10 minutes walk from where I'm standing. You can look at the terrain and you'll see that this is quite well hidden. All along the path that you're seeing above you now, that is where there are police vehicles lined up, also members of Magma Security, as Brigadier J. Naika mentioned. So lots of people tracking those suspects, but equally hostage negotiators doing their work here to ensure that those that are trapped in that house get out safely.
Just to recap, Dasen, five suspects in total. 1 of them has already been arrested, 4 others still at large, 1 of them inside a house there where you are holding a family hostage, and the other 3 are somewhere in that vicinity. Hence, you've got the air wing, and they are being hunted down as well by the canine unit of the police.
Well, the police at this point know about 5 that were involved in that initial robbery in Cato Ridge. That was where Brigadier was saying that those cell phones and other items were taken. And it was 3 of those 5 that are now on the loose, and 1 that is in this house. It sounded like it was quite a tense situation when he arrived here. There was gunfire in this area. The houses around here in this are quite close to this house where the scene is unfolding. There's one here just behind me, and there are others above me. So as the suspects had made their way through here, it did pose quite a bit of danger to those that are staying in this area. But police have secured this part of Umbumbulu. They've locked it down. Even when we were driving on the main road, Bradan, we also saw that there were police vehicles stationed at specific points, hoping to spot those that are on the loose. But for now, we can confirm at least 1 of that gang has been arrested.
And the target in Cato Ridge, from what you've just said, was it a retail? It's like sounded like it's a shop, because according to the police officer a short while ago, they're talking to you, some of the stolen cell phones have been found in that vehicle, which was involved in an accident earlier.
That's correct. It sounds like they attacked a shop there, and that's also quite some distance away from where they were eventually tracked. As I mentioned, this is about 50 kilometers away where this scene is unfolding. That's probably close to 45 minutes to 50 minutes drive from there. So that shop, fortunately, no serious injuries at that first scene. It's now all of the attention that is focused here as this unfolds, and that we now hoping for a positive outcome. One thing that is pretty concerning is that there is no specific number of how many people are inside. You'd have also heard me asking Brigadier J. Naika that about what do they know about those inside, but he confirmed at least 1 person, but the possibility of other people because of the voices that they have heard inside that house.
Yeah, and finally, Dasen, from where you can see, from where you are, from your vantage point, is that particular house completely surrounded at this stage by the police? And you also mentioned the presence of private security.
In fact, I'll also just give you a sense of what's around me here. So we are on what would be a neighboring property, and this is where some of those police officers are stationed. But beyond what you are seeing here, there are also other police officers that are on the path that lead up to the main road. That is where most of the vehicles are parked. And beyond that, there are also police officers that are on the main access routes getting into this area. So just to remind you of the terrain here, Pradan, you'll see that it is quite hilly. I think you may be able to see just at least one of those police vans that's parked up at the top. That's on that path that I was mentioning that leads down here. And the air wing is doing regular is circling around here quite regularly, just trying to spot anything that they possibly could, working in conjunction with the ground teams. The situation is being taken quite seriously, especially you can tell that from the presence here of the special task force, who are also doing their work in trying to free those hostages as quickly as they can.
And finally, Dasen, before I let you go, the neighbors, the neighborhood, you said the houses in that area are pretty close to each other. Are they also being protected? Is their safety being guaranteed by the presence of the police there? Are they concerned at all?
No, they are, and in fact, just the houses are quite close together as you walk down towards where I am now, and that's where we saw some people that were standing outside, and they were gathered in small groups, but being kept a safe distance away from where all of this is happening. Some of the police officers earlier saying that one of the reasons why, for example, we have been kept here on this neighboring property is because it is a live situation. They're not sure of how this will unfold. There could be gunfire, there could be violence that breaks out, anything could happen. So they're trying to ensure the safety of everyone that is around here. Hence, we are watching from a safe distance as we wait for police officers to do their work.
Yeah, finally. Thank you very much, Dasen Thathiah. It's a live crime scene in Umbumbulu from where he's reporting from, and what we understand, one suspect is holding a family in one of those houses in homes there in Umbumbulu. One suspect holding a family. How many family members at this stage? We do not know, but they know of at least one, according to the police. What is the condition inside there? They're not really clear at this stage, but they believe no harm has yet befallen anybody inside that home. Meanwhile, 3 other suspects are on the run in the same area, and they are being searched for by the police's K9 unit plus the air wing. We could hear the sound of the helicopter there hovering above. A 5th suspect was arrested earlier. The police talking about 5 criminals who attacked a shop in Cato Ridge earlier today, stealing, among other goods, cell phones, which had been found in an overturned car that was caught up in an accident as they were fleeing that scene in Cato Ridge. We'll keep on tracking this developing story for us. Dasen Thathiah, our senior reporter on the ground in Umbumbulu at this stage. Well,